Hello and welcome to Thus Have I Seen Buddhist Film Festival post-screening dialogue. And thank you for taking time to join us today. I'm Elaine and I'm one of the members of the organizing committee. We are very honored to have with us here today Paul and Tasya McLay, respectively director and producer for the film Saffron Heart. Paul is a filmmaker as well as a music composer, and Saffron Heart was his debut feature film. The film was shot in a real monastery in India, and it features some actors who are real Tibetan monks. Now, Paul wanted to make this film with the intention to help Tibetan refugees and also to highlight their lives. And we think it would be interesting for our viewers in Singapore to hear more about his motivation as well as his experience making the film. Now, Paul, you are a music composer and you have previously directed a couple of short films prior to this. Now, what gave you the motivation to direct a full-length feature film?
Hi, Elaine. Hi, everyone. That's such an honor for us to be here with you. Thank you for your question. Yes, as a musician, and firstly, I think as a Buddhist practitioner, it happened that we went to His Holiness the Dalai Lama teachings in the south of India in Mungod. First, it was Dripungaman Monastery where we in future filmed Saffron Heart. And so the teachings were in this concrete monastery. Some of our teachers are also from Dripum Monastery. And when I seen with my own eyes how Tibetan refugees live there in this refugee village in Mungod, so this idea came and I shared it with one of my lamas, Lama Ayur. So I shared the idea with him about making a movie and highlighting the problems of Tibetan monks and also helping them, not only telling their stories, but like, collecting some money and giving everything to them, like because of all the incomes that we're having from this movie, we're giving to Tibetan refugees. And so, yeah, the great inspiration came from His Holiness the Dalai Lama and from the monastery itself.
Elaine, you had to unmute first. Elaine, you had to unmute.
I'm sorry. Oh yeah,
It's okay.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you for sharing all that, Paul. I have watched the film myself and I really enjoy it. The storyline was very endearing and I thought that the characters are extremely adorable. Now the story itself, like I mentioned, is very endearing. Now, how did you come up with this storyline for Saffron Heart?
My wife Tasya, she's also the producer and co-script writer of the movie. So we had like the main script. So the idea came from me, but I shared it with my friend and my partner and script writer Pavel Chasovsky. So we started together, and then Tasya joined us, and just like three of us, we made this story and we built it. First of all, we collected real stories from monks, and then if you've seen the movie, like in the beginning of the movie, I don't want to spoil, but in the beginning of the movie, the boy is running out from the monastery, yeah, and it's also like a true story. There are a lot of small, like we collected small stories and built the plot on that. And a lot of, you told like some of the characters, no, each one of the characters, everybody inside the frame is a real Tibetan monk. There are no actors, but we've got even some like words and some good words from the critics for their play. I mean, I'm very happy like to have this experience directing, like even communicating with real people, real monks. It was like great pleasure for us. So Tessa can also share some things.
About the plot, about the script,
yep.
Right?
Yes.
It was a whole challenge for us. 1.5 months we were sitting yet in Moscow writing the script, and the main point for us was to combine all our ideas according to art part, yeah, like make it interesting for others, and like interesting story and the kind story, and including there the all the basic teachings from Buddhism, and without any mistake, like super clear. And that was, I think, the main time that we spent to clarify all our lots of ideas, like how to make it real, to let people get exactly things, to not put our opinion there. So that, I think, was our main intention and time that we spent. So as people say, we got it.
And in the last thing, inside the monastery while shooting, we with our DOP also, he took part. We written the story about like 40% of the story, so we cut the dialogues. The first thing was like, you know, Tibetan language and English language. It's like there were some phrases, just like, for example, we are starting to shoot and the first scene, and my DOP is asking like, what he's saying, and I'm like watching the script and saying like, okay, goodbye, I'll see you tomorrow. And he said like, but we are filming it like 8 minutes. And I'm like, stop asking the translator. So what he's saying, okay, I will see you tomorrow. But I'm like, how it can be 8 minutes? She's saying, but you know, Tibetan language is different. You can't say that, just like you need to say concretely, like, I'm the noble son of the noble family. I will see, and it is like that. So we cut the 40% of the dialogues. It was, you know, otherwise it could be like 6 hours long, or it could be a series, but whatever.
Wow. It's very interesting to note that, because I totally agree that Tibetan language is complicated, and when they speak it, it's a lot of nuances. It's not just the language, it's the culture as well. And there's a lot of roundabouts, and they go through so much thing just to express one thing, and it's always not clear. And I totally get that. And the experience that you share is very, very interesting. And as I watch, I also feel that the performance of the monks are very raw and very authentic. It's very refreshing to watch, you know, when you're very used to watching films with professional actors, and it's very polished. But for this one, you can see that the performance is very, very real, and it's very raw, and I like that a lot. So thanks for sharing that experience. Is very, very interesting. Now, having shot all that with non-professional actors, they are monks, and your environment was in a real monastery in India. So did you have any challenges, you know, filming in such an environment?
Oh, that's a nice question. A lot of challenges, actually. First of all, it's not only a monastery, it's a huge university. Can you imagine? It's like 2,500 monks only in one section of the monastery. Usually Tibetans are dividing the monasteries in two parts. It's like, for example, Sera J and Sera May, where Lama Zopa came from. And here also, it's like Dripung Gaman and Dripung Loseling. So in one is like 2,000 monks, in another one is like 2,500. Altogether, it's almost like 4,500 monks altogether. And in one scene, even like in one or two scenes, you remember it's like debate scene. It was like half of the monasteries, like it was like more than 1,000 people altogether. So it was really hard to direct. Like the film crew was like 4 people and 2 translators. Can you imagine? The whole film crew was like that. So when you told, like, when I was shooting music videos or whatever, like short films, the film crew was like 20 people, 30 people, whatever. It's like a small videos, like for 1 minute, for 10 seconds, when it's like we're talking about commercials, yeah. But here it's like a feature film. So the main challenge was, like, for me, it was fighting your own ego, because when you're just studied as a filmmaker, I was studying first in Moscow and then in London Film School. And I was, you know, they taught us, like, the director needs to know all the process. For example, I know how to film. There are some scenes that I filmed myself as a DOP also. I knew how to do like an artist walk, whatever. But the director directs. So like usually director is sitting and saying like, okay, you move camera over there, there. And so I didn't have this opportunity. I was doing everything as like Tasya and others. So it was the main challenge. It's like, if you want to move the camera, you're going and moving it. If you want to move the light, you're going, there is nobody. They gave us some monks, and they were helping like with like simple jobs. So they were just like holding it. It was like really heavy stuff. They just held it, they were moving it, but they couldn't do it in like artistic way. So the main challenge was like the environment, and also the thing that really helped us, we've been like completely trusted from the monastery side. They even didn't read the script. They just trusted that we want to do some good stuff. So they help with everything. The monastery helped and covered everything, like our food, our like accommodation. They help like the challenges. It's been like, for example, oh, it was very hard over there. It's the south of India, yeah. So it was in February, for example, it was like
January, February, so it was like
Yeah.
35, so to 37.
but we still continued shooting. So and one more thing, like really funny one. During the Tibetan New Year, it came from the Buddhist days. Like it was almost more than 2 weeks, where when monks, I can't say they're like some, how to say, turning off their wows. No, it's not like that. But for example, for this period, monks cannot wear the monks' robes. They are allowed to play football and many things, like small vows, like can be I mean, you can just like close yours for that, not the main ones. But it happened in one day. Can you imagine, like we're shooting in the monastery, it's like a typical the atmosphere, like everybody's learning for about like nearly like 20 hours per day. It's like it's a monastic college, and suddenly in one day we're just in the morning seeing, it's like music is everywhere. They're not looking at, as monks, but they are like wearing like hip hop clothes, playing football, going with boombox, and they were like, "What's going on?" It's like it's Tibetan New Year. We're like, how it can be like that? Where she did a story where the small boy is like all alone, and it's like, and everybody's so. It was like, guys, can you please switch off the music? Can you just go out from the frame, and please just for a while, just our boy is like passing by, and then you just like can continue. It was like, okay, so he's passing by, he's like sad, and he's going on, and then it's like music is turned on, they're just dancing, playing football, whatever. So it was like one of the main challenges. And to finish with, it was the thing that that's a shame, but they, because of the shooting, they missed this period. I mean, the two main characters, who was Lobsang and Tashi, so they missed this period, these 2 weeks. And when we completed the shooting, we went to have a small rest to the ocean nearby. And the main administrator of the monastery, Gen Sherab, he said, like, you know, boys missed this Tibetan New Year. So we want to make a small present for them. Can you take them with you? Like for a while, for 1 week or less. Monastery will pay for everything. We just want them to be relaxed, and we don't want them to be like sad because they missed this. So we took them with us. And can you imagine, they're Highlanders. They never ever seen the sea and the ocean. And it was like, it was so good. So they were not wearing monks' robes. They were swimming. They were cycling with us. It was so good. So we had like this brilliant almost 1 week, I think, altogether. So it was like that. Sorry for
Wow.
talking too much.
No problem. I like it. Thanks for sharing all that. I mean, we wouldn't have known about the kind of challenges and limitation that you had to face. That was hilarious as well. Thanks for sharing that. Did you then manage to stick to your schedule, given that there were probably some instances when you had to take longer than you expected? So did you manage to keep on to your schedule, or did you take longer to shoot the film?
Tasya can answer this question much better than me. She was a main producer of the movie, and she had all these challenges and communication, and she helped me to think more about the artistic part, and she organized everything, so she can share her experience about that, I think. Please.
Starting from pre-organizing period, when first time we were just writing to the monastery about some details, like how we will organize all the process. And it was one of my first question about the schedule of the monastery to like create some plan, how we will install in the monastery.
Also,
Yeah, our shooting plan install in the monastery schedule and their life, like their daily life. And once I asked this question, the answer was, we don't have any schedule. I was like, it was few months before we came. My idea was, okay, they just don't know us. They like don't think that they need, like they need to share this, like, private monastery information. Maybe we will come once there and they will be more open for that. So maybe it's like a bit complicated. So once we came, we realized that this is true. They don't have schedule, and this like 2,000 monks somehow being organized, very well organized every day, but day by day. So for instance, they have some general plan, like, okay, Tibetan New Year, Losar is like these dates, or like big debates, like these days.
Teachings these days.
Yeah. So, but they completely ready for shift anything, to be flexible, like for everything. And this is beautiful from one side, and to be experienced, like being in this schedule, it's super amazing. But as you said, that like day by day, we have to create our own plan. And it was sometimes, for me, this was the main challenge. Like I was sitting hours and hours with my laptop, like, okay, now we need to move this in because this not organizing. We were thinking that like we can go to the kitchen, but the kitchen all of a sudden closed and they open new kitchen, but we need for certain old kitchen. So they like didn't tell us anything because just in one day they shift and something like that. So this was very interesting, really. So thank you for this question. It was really beautiful experience to be flexible and be in the plan.
But also it was a great lesson of the impermanence, like how Tibetans call it mitapa. So it's they just showed us how you can live without all this attachment to the plan, to everything. It's like today we're deciding like, okay, we'll do this tomorrow, but not like, like how, for example, in the West, where just like a lot of our friends buying tickets. For example, we're buying tickets today for the next year, and it's like, how you can know that next year you will survive, you will be alive, or whatever. We as a Buddhist, we can understand it. We have this knowledge thanks to like old Indian scientist, Bhagavan Buddha Shakyamuni himself. But anyway, it's all right.
The main thing, from my understanding, was that all the monastery crew that were helping us with the head of the monastery, with the administrator, they would keep telling every day while we were somehow worried, everything will be good, all will be okay, everything will be happening like in the right time, don't worry. So that was the main, like the combination of impermanence and even though feeling that everything on the right place. Yeah, that was a great experience.
I think that's true. It's indeed very true that they live in the moment. It's like focusing on the present and not be concerned about planning for the future. I think as at least for me, city people, we like to plan and we like to know what's going to happen the next day, the day after, the next week. We're used to that, and from their perspective, it is all about savoring the moment, living in the moment, and be present. I think that just how you just managed to encapsulate this concept. So that's a very great sharing. Thank you so much for that. And you earlier mentioned that you brought the two boys to the beach. Is that right?
Yes.
The interaction between Jashi and Roksang inside the movie, that was very, very cute. Do the boys already know each other, or are they are from the same monastery? Do they already know each other before that, or were they strangers before filming Saffron Heart?
That's a nice thing to share. They didn't know each other, and I hope that now they're still friends. But how it happened, it was like a parallel line about our story, about our shooting, and what happened to them. And some of the scenes, for example, there's a scene at the fields when Tashi, it's like first he started arguing and then he shouting and the boy's crying. They really had a fight that day. I mean, it was like that. So, you know, I had a strange experience over there, not only directing them, but putting them in the right place. For example, there was something happened between Tashi and his friends. And when we needed to shoot some scenes where Tashi is like feeling sad and he's like arguing and having like, I don't know, better, like worse
Conflict,
relationships,
yeah.
yeah, conflict with his friends, he really had this conflict. So, and what happened to Lobsang and Tashi, I mean, the characters, it was like, I can say it was very truish, whatever, what happened behind the camera. It was really something like that because we've been inspired just looking after them, just looking how their relationships grew up. And so we even included some of the scenes from the behind of the camera to put it inside the frame because how it was really nice to see how they're communicating. So he really became, I mean, Tashi really became Tibetan scholar Shagen. It's like an elder friend who is like taking care of you. And it was really nice. So we really loved it and how they communicate with each other. It was really nice. They
Good,
inspired
good.
us.
So are you still keeping in touch with the boys as well as with the other monks in the monastery? Do you still keep in touch?
Sure. We're keeping in touch with almost all of them except the main character Lobsang because he doesn't have a telephone, and sometimes his uncle is writing me that he's okay, and you know now he's a teenager. Can you imagine? Now he's 17. So while shooting, he was it was his birthday. While shooting, he was 12, and now he's like 17, and he's a teenager. And anyway, it was a strange experience. I felt like, sorry for this comparison, but I felt like Brad Pitt in the 7 years of in Tibet because you know he was giving me lessons. And he was telling me like almost every day he was telling like I'm missing this school because of you, and I was like, what to do? I'm having my motivation. I want to make something bigger than all of us to help others, but in another hand, this boy is really missing his school and he's one of the best students at his school. And you know, the monastery provided like the paper for those who took part. They could like, you know, miss some of the scheduled like lessons or whatever. And everybody wanted to be inside the movie because of that, but we didn't like, it was like a huge casting, whatever. But this boy, he really wanted to continue his studies. And the most funny thing, it was like, for example, can you imagine they didn't have any concept about the movies, not only about the process of filmmaking, yeah, but the one and only movie that the main character represented in Lobsang watched in whole his life for the old Spider-Man movie. So that's why our DOP was called Peter Parker. Me, because maybe of my dreadlocks, whatever, he called me Bob, not Paul. He said like, it's Ladakhi. He's Ladakian. He's not Tibetan, he's Ladakian. And so he was saying like, they didn't have this concept because when we're working with professional actors, actors will tell you like, okay, I need to feel this character, I need to feel his clothes, I need to know about his parents, even if it's not included in the stereo inside the frame. So he needs to be in this like kind of consciousness to feel it. About these boys, they didn't even read the script. I said like, no, you're sad because of that. And then after half an hour, like it was like, now we're shooting the first scene, then after half an hour we're shooting like a 40-second scene, and then back to the 13th scene. So it was insane, but they done it, I mean, brilliantly, without any concept, because they didn't know how to do it properly. But they like how they did it. I mean, I'm very satisfied and I'm very happy for each one of us.
Well, you really do have a lot of interesting stories to share. And through all this sharing, I think it gives us even more insights to the lives of these Tibetan monks or refugees, in addition to the film. So This is a great extension, I think, having watched the film and then to having to hear from you personally of your experience making it and your interaction with the actors as well. So now finally, I think I want to just wrap it up by asking you, in addition to highlighting the situation of Tibetan refugees in India, would you have other messages that you want the audience to take away from this film?
That's a very nice thing. When we were writing the script, my scriptwriter told me, like, Paul, if we put 3 ideas, maybe the audience will catch one. If we put like 5, maybe they will catch 2. So let's put it like the most that we have. As for me, this is a movie about the friendship. It's a movie about the relationships, the relationship between people mainly. It's about what good and what's bad, without like your own sense, but like mainly what is like, I don't know. The main message was to show that we, all of us, were attached to our ideas and concepts. We wanted to be like that, and we're grasping. So the main idea was to show the audience that sometimes it can be even better. The result can be better when it's unpredictable and not that one that we're saying is the best one. So when I had a lot of like Q&A and with Tasya, and they asked me mainly like, okay, does she go away from the monastery? And I'm saying like, for me, no, but that's not the main thing. The main thing, as for me, it's the movie about acceptance. So the main thing that really we wanted to put it, I think it's acceptance. So the boy accepted the fact that she can live. Did he live? For me, not. But even if he did, Lobsang accepted it. And it was his main treasure. It was his main lesson. And from him, the main lesson to all of us, even for me as a human being, as a Buddhist practitioner, as a film director, whatever, I also accepted a lot of the things. Because, for example, we cutted some of the scenes and I really wanted it to be like that. And I was grasping like, no, we need to shoot this and that. And then I just like, I realized like, okay. And suddenly we toned the whole story to, right now I can say much better way than I wanted it to be. So it felt like we've been guided. If we been in like another confession, we could say it was just like guidance of the gods, whatever. But it wasn't like that. I mean, sometimes the circumstances and the whole karmic connections between people, between the life events, whatever, the whole thing guides us somewhere where we don't know and we couldn't imagine how it can be, but the result can be much better than we thought it could be. So that's my understanding of that.
I think lots of different people would judge in it in different way. I mean, after the movie and when they were finding their own morality, it was different choices. So whom take what from the movie? And that's really great that we were following our scriptwriter advice, that we were trying to put lots of things, like lots of layers. Okay, like Buddhist philosophy layer 0, like level 1, okay, done. Like a friendship, done. Acceptance, done. The wisdom of a guru, of a teacher, like how he is acting to them, because this is different line, and this like completely different behavior than the behavior between two kids, and he's given not just an example, but the way example to them, but really example of way of living, like where all these things that we're trying to get from there, he already applying in his life, like the passion and lots of things.
I forgot like one very important thing. Mainly, it's not like, we've been marked with this stuff. It's like a Buddhist movie, whatever. For sure, we're Buddhists and we're sharing the things that we're also practicing. But for me, it's not a Buddhist movie. It's mainly it's an inspiring story about the kid. I wanted to shoot something that you can share with your kids to show them. And for sure, it's not like in 3D. It's not about Transformers or whatever, but it guides somewhere, and it can teach something. I mean, not about like we are like teaching, but we're just sharing it. I mean, we're sharing this wisdom. We're sharing our path with the audience. So for me, mainly, we could put him anywhere.
In any
Yeah,
circumstances,
he
so
could.
like the
He
same
could.
story.
He could be even not monk, but it's mainly about acceptance and relationship. This is it. We just put it because we wanted to highlight the situation with Tibetan refugees, to tell about the Buddhism, whatever. But mainly, this is a story about the boy.
I do remember one thing. It was also one of big intention for us that moment. Even now, I forgot about this completely, because we are also from some environment that people thinking, they have some concept about monks. It doesn't matter about which monks, Buddhist monks, Catholic monks, whatever. Like the monks as a way of living, and we found out that there are two main concepts about this. First, they're saint, like they're perfect. They're like wow, sentient beings. And another one just completely different, that they're just someone who do nothing.
They're lazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
just
lazy.
like-
So just they have our money with our cherishing, and just like they do nothing. They're just like, what is that? Praying? Is it that hard or something like that? These two different concepts.
So we wanted to ruin this
to
concept.
clarify
it,
that they're also people. They have the middle way. They also live this and that. They have a rest and they have a hard job. And also because of that, partly in a monastery, we showed lots of different activities, how the monks are busy with things.
And also, like the kids are kids.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's it's like it doesn't matter if they're monks or not. They're still
They can
kids.
shout, they can be offended or something.
They
like
even
be
can
noisy.
fight. I mean, in a good way. They're just like fighting as a kids. They can just like throw balls to each other. They can just like run to each other and whatever. I mean, they're still kids. And the thing that we wanted really to share, and there are like different personalities and different even like adult groups. We wanted to show like this is a boy who just starting his path, and his teacher, and from it, and in the middle it's like Tashi, yeah, and from all of these characters you can see this evolution of mind. You can see this path, and you can see the effect of the path, and you can see how personality changes, and from the small boy to his teacher, you could see like Tashi in the middle, and his like challenges inside his mind, some other stuff, but still well people. And we wanted to, when His Holiness Dalai Lama is saying like, I'm just a monk, I'm a simple monk, of course, like we know like he's like why he's saying that, but anyway, we're well people, and wearing even monk's robes, it doesn't give immediately the realization of some Buddhist path. It's just like we wanted to show that it's all coming from the transformation, and it's the whole transformation is coming from everyday work, mainly inside work, and they're teaching so much. And like for example, to have this PhD in Buddhist philosophy that in Tibetan tradition they call geshe, yeah, they are studying for about 20 years, and then after like 3-5 years they're passing the exams, and only a few of them are passing these exams. And inside the monastery, there are a lot of monks. And if you're not good in studies, you're working at the kitchen. You're just cleaning the roads or whatever. But we haven't seen anyone who just like sitting and meditating while others are working. It's not working like that. This is a community. It can be compared to like, I don't know, a military base or whatever.
Yes.
In some case, yeah. So it can be like that. The discipline is very strict, but everyone is helping each other. This is a very good model that like we wanted also to share.
Because everyone has his own feeling of his own responsibility, taking part. Okay, even though I can let myself to have more rest today, I know that I will cover it with the tomorrow job that like I miss it because of some of my circumstances. Maybe I feel bad or something like that. But each and everyone really is supporting to each other.
So we wanted like to share this experience.
Great. Thank you. And I agree with you because for different people watching the film, they will have different takeaways. It really depends on the person's own experience, the person's interpretation. And I like that what you mentioned that you do have inserted several layers of lessons. So it's very nice to, be able to experience all that watching the film. And even now thinking back, I do recall some of the lessons, that some things that are very significant and some that do give me that smile, how I really like the interaction between the two boys. I thought that was very beautiful. And you mentioned about friendship. So we definitely have that going on. So I hope with our audience as well, everyone would have their own personal takeaway from watching Saffron Heart. So thank you so much for giving us this beautiful
That's a pleasure.
movie. Yes, thank you so much. And with that, we have come to the end of this post-screening dialogue, and I hope it was very insightful for our audience as it was for me, and especially to Paul and to Tasya for sharing your experience. Those were very beautiful experiences. So a big thank you once again for taking time to join us here. And we wish you all the very best in your future undertakings. Now, this film festival will be running from 25th September to 8th of October. So to our audiences who have not yet purchased your tickets, you can still do so on Systic. And we really thank you so much for your support. And we will see you soon at the next dialogue.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Elaine. Thank you. And best of luck to all of our viewers.
Yeah, thank you for your festival. You're really doing a great job. Thank you.